This episode of the ECWM podcast has been brought to you by Benelli. Dominate the skies.
Kent Cartridge, Canada. High quality, high performance shotgun shells for waterfowl, turkey, upland, sporting clays, and more.
Sitka, turning clothing into gear.
Maritime Dog Training, because I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Offering obedience training of all levels, service dog and retriever training in person or online.
Big Owl Decoys, high quality silhouettes and accessories for waterfowl, turkey, and sandhill cranes.
East Coast Calls, offering high quality duck, goose, and turkey calls built right here in the Maritimes. Welcome to the Waterfowl East podcast, gentlemen.
Welcome.
Get Wesley here.
Andrew. David.
David, you're a little eager on that. Try to jump in. Welcome. What's going on, gentlemen?
Well, we're here. Podcasting.
Spring's hitting. Everybody's getting keen to get outside and get training and running dogs.
Oh, friggin'
flying
right.
birds. And...
Today was beautiful. Yesterday morning was friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
I was out, did a little bit of training with Boog, just running, throwing dummies in the bird launchers.
Yep.
My zinger hasn't come in yet, so they didn't have. I ordered a silver one.
Oh, nice.
And they didn't have it. And they told it was like 2 weeks later. Like, yeah, we don't have the silver. They're being manufactured. I don't know, 2 months or something like that. I said, but we got black in stock. I said, all right, well, I'll get a black one anyway. Yeah. So it's ordered, but hopefully be here within the next week or so. I still got to order electronics. I got to sit down and go online and have a look at what electronics I want to get, just the best value.
Now, speaking of electronics, so like, have you ever considered putting maybe one of those like what you have on your launchers?
I could, but I'm going to run my zinger a long ways away. Like, I'm going to run that sucker I'll probably run 300-yard marks with him.
Oh, really?
And with no sound. Like, that's my bird launchers can't quack or make any noise, so I need to have that quack to get him dialed in on it and then launch it. So
they're nice with the 209 primer in it, too.
Yeah, get a loud bang. So
yeah,
at least that would help. Stupid phone won't frig off. And I can't not look at it because I got ADHD. But, yeah, it's been friggin' nice to get out. We had that real early snap of warm weather where we did get out training a little bit there, and then it friggin' snowed more than it snowed all damn winter.
Just tease.
Yeah.
We've had cold weather, actually crummy weather, rainy and so on. Like, we really haven't, well, I mean, you could train if you want to, but, it's not like it's been enjoyable, I guess.
Yeah. But you're not going to go out and run birds, though, really.
No.
Not in the point.
And it's hard to hide them in the grass right now because it's all down with the snow, where the snow was on it and stuff, so.
Yeah. That's one thing I was going to say this year. Like, I know typically, like, we're going to talk about pointing dogs tonight. Matt, he couldn't make it tonight, so Dave and Andrew and we're just going to talk more on the pointing dog side of it until Matt can join us. And
a little bit of upland stuff.
Yeah, upland stuff. And that's one thing I'm going to do a little bit more of this year. Like, when the dogs were young, we were running them in the field because obviously they're not seasoned. You want to really make sure they get in a good scent cone. You can see for sure where the launcher is, for sure where the dog is, so you don't have any captures or whatever, like dogs catching birds. So this year, I'm going to do a lot more training in the woods that's more representative, like actual grouse and woodcock hunting. Set them up behind stumps or whatever. Just do things like that where it's more of a realistic setup.
Yeah, like transition to that as you get later into the season.
I think that's one of our big problems. We really don't, or haven't, I guess, as of now. We've done line fences, stuff like that, but we haven't really gone in the woods. But the trouble is, it's hard in the woods because you almost need to have somebody that can see the launcher, hiding somewhere, but then the dogs know
it's not bad, though, if you got your dogs pretty steady. Like, I feel fairly confident that even if Boog pointed it from, like, 5 feet, I feel like he'd still be pretty steady on it.
Yeah.
Like, he had a nice point on a grouse there the other day, and I mean, he was on top of it. And he stayed steady, and it was walking. I could hear it.
Yeah.
So he's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So
I like having those the kick traps.
Yes.
So we can what I'm going to do is set one up, let's say 15 or 20 feet behind the electric.
That's a good idea.
So because it is common, like a dog could run in and bust a bird, and that may not be the only one there.
Yeah, right.
Definitely.
So if you train them to be steady to that flush, and
Yeah.
then walk in, and you can get that second one up.
Yeah, yeah, and we had one the other day too. He was running with the wind, and he bumped it, but he pointed the flush, which is great.
Yeah,
so.
That's good.
But yeah, obviously not gonna start off right in the woods, but we'll do our field work and then probably transition to a fence line that has a nice crosswind, and then move into the woods, find bigger open areas and all that stuff.
Yeah, because there's a lot of leaves that get in the way there in the summer too, doing that in the woods.
Oh, big time, yeah.
Because when I trained him, like once he was seasoned, it's not bad. You can, if you look up and line your launcher up, it's pretty easy to just shoot a bird up into the trees.
Yeah.
There's enough openings. I mean, you're not going to go into.
Yeah, no, I guess I mean like as far as your dog being 50 yards away in a field versus in the woods, it's harder to see, to control that. Like if they do get too close or start creeping.
But we're going to start in the field though, so they'll be doing good, and then move to a fence line or a brush pile or something, and then transition into the woods.
Yeah.
And I feel like you won't need to see your dog.
Right, yeah.
Because I think they're going to be pretty damn steady by then.
Just be key to take the right steps to get there,
Yeah, man, we got a lot of bird launchers now. How many? You guys got 3?
Yeah.
3, yeah.
3, and I got 3. So, and they're all electric now.
And then the kick traps, too.
And then the kick traps. Holy, now we just need birds.
Well, that's coming. I was telling Andrew here tonight, I had 2 chucker eggs and 2 quail eggs today.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
They're hopefully going to start laying a little more steady.
And I'm gonna be buying some birds. I don't care what I'm buying. What are they? Cartoonic or whatever?
Caturnix quail.
Caturnix quail. I don't give a crap if they fly. If they get 15 feet in the air and I can bust a cap at it.
Yeah.
Because
you'd have to have a dog really steady to the flush if you're going to them, because they like say they'll fly, but they only go 15, 20 feet sometimes, most times, and then they drop right back down, right? So
and I figure
your dog could catch them, that kind of thing. Really,
and I figure if you're shooting a shot and it falls, well, the dog thinks you shot it anyway. It looks like you shot it, whether you did or not.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of the time, a grouse, you wing it or woodcock, and it's alive when they get there anyway.
See, we got our pens that we've built are, we can walk in them, so they're 6 feet high, 7 feet high, whatever. So I find it does help the birds for flight a lot better. Like your birds are kind of flight condition or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And it's surprising just the difference in, even if it's a 12x8 cage or whatever, like they fly pretty good, eh? Like when we use
those chuckers are strong little
birds.
Oh
yeah. That one last year, remember, it flew all the way to the woods from the middle of the field. Like, it won't be able to fly that far, so be ready to shoot. And it's like, boom.
Oh yeah,
it flew all the way.
I've seen quail fly like 200 yards, or before
the quail I bought last year, they were basically just pop up and flutter down.
Oh, yeah,
they didn't go very far.
Well, you got them out of a small cage, right? So they weren't flight conditioned.
Pretty young too.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about Boog, who was, as of last fall, was steady to wing and shot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't do this with a friggin' puppy, obviously, but I feel pretty confident. And I mean, we're gonna start with pigeons. We'll get him pointing pigeons, making sure that he's solid, and then transfer to, because I feel, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like with a versatile gun dog that has an extreme drive to retrieve and catch, that if you keep launching birds, shooting or whatever, and not shooting and not getting him a bird in his mouth, I feel like he's gonna be like lose interest and be like, frig this, I want to I'm gonna go get it myself if you can't get it for me, you idiot. And the only reason I say that is because last year, I don't know what in the heck happened, but I'll take it. He was not steady. He was not a finish pointer by any means. Like, he would point and bust and chase and all that. So he's pretty not refined. And then when I bought those 10 quail, and I made sure I took him in on a check cord every time, I launched the bird and I shot every single one of those 10. And he caught it. He got to retrieve it. Man, when we did that, it was just like it flipped a switch. And he literally went from those 10 quail, from busting birds and not doing real great. Just, he was on track. He went from that to literally steady to wing and shot on a freaking grouse. Like,
that's
I don't know.
I remember that. Like, it was
like
crazy, really. How
it was just like bang.
Yeah. There was no. It was night and day.
And it was almost like by shooting and getting those birds in his mouth, all 10 of them,
Yeah.
Launching them, he pointed, stayed steady, shooting them, sending them out, letting him retrieve it, and then, good boy. I feel like that almost made him go, oh, man, if I stand here, he's going to get it for me.
Yeah.
I show him where it is. He can kill it, and then I'm going to go get it in my mouth.
You really had to see it to believe it.
Yeah, I feel like it.
Oh, yeah, it was unbelievable, actually.
Like, I don't know if he's capable of that level of thought, but I cannot think of anything else that made him go from basically a young 1.5-year-old dog busting birds to literally steady to wing and shot.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what happened here, but I'll take it. We went from getting a 5 at the first HZB test on pointing to a 10. Which is almost a perfect score. The only way to get an 11-12, something exceptional has to happen. Like he'd have to point a true wild bird.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Or he would have to relocate a bird.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we didn't have that opportunity. He just went in, pointed all the birds.
Yeah.
I
well, those
them.
pen raised ones, they don't really relocate a lot of times, right? Because, I mean, they're so, speaking of the, you were talking about the quail zone stuff, and I was saying the flight conditioned birds do fly well, but so the first year with Ember, when she was less than a year old, we were doing pointing in the field and stuff, and man, like she was good with the pigeons, but you got into when you step up to a game bird, a pigeon is not all, it's not all the same thing, and she would, of course, those birds would fly a couple hundred yards, but she would take right off after them. Because she wasn't steady to the flush, right? She'd point, I'd flush it, and they would go. And man, like she actually caught a couple because she'd run them down.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
And oh man, and that was that's all
frustrating.
Oh yeah, because that really set me back actually.
Yeah.
And so we said I can't do that no more. So then I had to make sure we had her on a check cord, and so she couldn't.
Yeah. And that's what I did with Boog with those quail. I made sure he was on a check cord just in case, but he never did. Like, I'd run with him, get him on point, and I did whoa him just to make sure he knew, style him up a bit, and then I'd put the bird up. But I almost feel like Ember might be at that point. He was about the same as her. Like, he would point some if they didn't move.
Yeah.
But if he could see the bird or was, like, real close, he'd go in on it.
Yeah. She it's a frustrating time right now because she'll do, because I was telling Andrew, I said this year one thing I really want to do is I don't want her to creep in because like if you watch one of our like you watch the woodcock video I put out here on Chasing the King on YouTube, and when you go look at that you'll see that she goes on point, but then she kind of like, I want to get on top of this, and she starts creeping. Just kind of trying to, and that's what she'll do on the wild birds.
Like she just wants to make sure it's that close.
Yeah, and it's like, man, like you can't do that. Like, and then of course they flush,
Yeah.
But and I said, well, so what I'm going to do to try to fix that? I said, I'll have it set up, and when she goes, I'll just, she'll go and point the pigeon, and I'll just sit there and wait until she actually. But she'll sit there, I'll sit there 5-10 minutes, like she's steady like crazy on the pigeon.
She knows the game.
But then you go, and then you go out and even chuckers, like she did great on the chuckers last year. We she point, and I'd walk up, I'd take my time walking up to her, and flush the chucker and shoot it. We did some pheasants that way, and
maybe those quail something completely different.
She's done quails too, though. That's the problem.
But she hasn't lately.
But the rough grouse and like the wild birds, man, like it's something about it. She just fired up. Like she runs them right over, Like she just.
But with her though, I feel like all the guys, pointer guys and setter guys, they preach just get her on wild birds, just let her go, let her bust birds, and then they say they'll figure it out. Because I did that with Jace, and Jace is not a pointer or a setter. Yeah. He's a friggin' versatile. And they have a lot more drive to kill shit, I feel. And he did not figure it out. He chased every damn grouse he ever found.
Well,
he never did figure it out. I had to train it with pigeons, and even still, it was not perfect.
And you got to be careful, too, how often you train with birds.
Yeah.
Because, like you were just saying, they get so used to it that it's just like, well, yeah, I'll go do it. But it's not.
Yeah.
They're not keen. Like, you want to keep them keen. So, like, train less, but make sure you haven't really planned out when you do go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of figured once a week tops is for on birds, is what I'm gonna.
Because I can't even train my own pigeons at all. She's just
she's not into it.
Through this.
Yeah. It's unfortunate when that happens because and the thing is we everyone makes mistakes as you go, right? That's how you learn. So I mean. And you only got so many dogs in your life, so you try to learn from other people, and that's what's nice about social media nowadays. You can, and talks like this right here, you have to learn from, this guy did this, and this was the consequence of it.
And every breed is
That's what got me.
Yeah.
See, I got Jason. I knew nothing about a point. I just knew he was a pointing dog.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, a one pointing dog is a pointing dog, right?
Yeah.
So I went down to the training days with the setters and pointer guys. Like, you know, like guys like Robert. Like Robert has English pointers, and a lot of the guys had English setters. I mean, that was it, pretty much. And they were like, all of them, just, I'll get them on wild birds. They figure it out. And I'm like, oh, well, that's easy enough. So that's what I did. And we got on a shit ton of wild birds, and he never stopped chasing.
Yeah.
But they have a lot higher retrieving drive than a friggin' English pointer.
I would say he learned that he wanted to chase them.
They love the chase.
More than he does, yeah.
And then
and that's what I'm afraid of. Like, because you say give him a wild birds, but I mean, Ember likes to chase too. So it's kind of like, well, if I just let her do her thing, well, will that ruin her completely?
But
you know,
she's not a big dog, like a big.
She's not a big retriever though.
She likes to run up to the bird and chomp it, make sure it's dead. Like, you know, like she'll if I shoot a bird and it's wounded, she'll go up to that bird, she'll give it a couple of cracks, and then I have to usually force her and say, you know, fetch, and get her to bring it back because she's been force fetched. But if it wasn't for that, no, she would just chomp that bird, and okay, I'm done.
So that being said,
I
think she might be all right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, but
you know, like it's hard
still
one.
different though. Like Jace, he by the time he was 2 or 3, I'm like, okay, he's not figuring this out. And that's when I get into pigeons and stuff. But man, when you've run a dog for, I think 3 years, it's really hard to train him out of that.
Yeah,
and I didn't know what I was doing.
And it's really hard too because
still don't.
You go out thinking you have all this knowledge and a plan, and always something. And I find personally, like, I've screwed up a lot.
Oh, frig yeah!
It's always so hard to look back or to look at the time and say, what should I be doing different?
Yeah.
But you really need to be like, you know, if this isn't working, let's just go to something that you know does work, so you finish on a positive.
Yeah.
Because like all of us, we're used to working with like our dogs. So you have like 1, 2, or 3 dogs that you've trained to work with, as opposed to like, you know, Matt or Robert or something who has worked with like hundreds of dogs.
Yeah.
So that experience is pretty big, but I mean, they have a lot more tools to go.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, and that's how you become a pro trainer, is just through experience, right? And your own figuring it out.
Yeah.
Like every dog's different, but they're all kind of the same.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, like, it's me as a handler or trainer that is screwing up whatever the situation is and not the dog.
Yeah. But, I mean, even the experience, like, I noticed a difference between you and me, even. Like, you're a much better pointing trainer than I am because, well, you've got more experience than me. And I just, like I said, Jace, I didn't know what the frig I was doing. I thought I was doing the right thing, but he's a different dog. He wasn't an English pointer. And, man, as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't work with him. It didn't with him. But I'm doing better with Boog. I don't.
And it's crazy when you look at Hank with Dusty. Like, he got trained that style of training. He does awesome.
Yeah.
But he did he let him just go run wild on grouse though?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, I agree for the first, like Chester this fall. Chester's going to run wild. I don't give a shit what he does. I'm going to let him run and chase and shoot.
I think he always, because he brought him to Robert to get the first month or two or whatever, to get a base, you know.
But that was with pigeons though, or birds, right?
Yeah, but they transitioned, you know, into the woods, and then like he went with Robert, and they did woodcock and grouse, and like, you know what I mean. Like,
but that's the difference.
He went a lot there, so
I didn't
he had
do
a lot
any
of
pigeon training, right?
Yeah, he had a lot of guidance there. But as far as just letting him run loose, no, I you know, like he said, like he'd have running the bell on him, right? So he'd say, you know, we'd keep the bell in range, so we knew. You can tell by the sound of the bell if that dog's getting birdie or not. Like if they start slowing down and tracking, that kind of thing. And so they kind of knew what was going on, you know. And if they heard a flash, then, you know, he'd whoa them and walk up and set them up. And
you got to go through a lot of that.
But maybe that's the difference, though. I mean, he did work them on birds in launchers.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah,
like I never with Jace, because they just they probably told me, but I just didn't understand it. I'm like, okay, so I just take him in the woods and run him on birds, and he figures it out.
You let him free run.
Becomes basically a great pointer. You know what I mean?
Dusty said himself too. Like this past fall was a huge change in Hank going from 2 years old to 3 years old. Like, you know, that happens too. You know, like that's a pretty big factor.
Well, I'm excited to see like Clyde and Boog. Ember as well. I mean, unfortunately, Ember missed all of last fall, basically, but that's a big kick in the balls, but you move on.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a fun fall, though. I think we got some dogs that are going to really, really progress.
Yeah.
She is keen to go, so I bet that, like, when we get out training, like when I stopped at your house on the way coming here, she wanted to go do stuff. Like,
Yeah.
she's gonna have that fire big time.
Yeah.
Well, we lost, like I say, we lost this year, and which, you know, and it sucks for her, but like we were talking about, you know, like mentally for the handler, it's a real,
man,
it's a
it's a
struggle,
battle.
because I mean, like, you spend, you know, like for us, like, not everybody does this, but I mean, we literally, you know, like, if I count the hours I have in training, like, it would scare you, you know, and here we are, still far from perfection, you know.
Yeah.
And then you get this, we're all ready, we did all this 10 months of work for these next 2 months, and then she loses. I mean, I guess I got the last 2 weeks of the season
I
in
know.
December,
Yeah.
and even then, we hadn't done anything for 2 months. So when you get a dog that doesn't do anything,
I mean,
for 2 months-
it was a lost season.
oh yeah, and mentally for me, it was like, why did I even bother? Like, you know, all this work for what? You know, and now I'm right back to square one again.
But at
like,
least it wasn't something like it was an uncontrollable act. Like,
oh, it is, but I mean, it's just,
So-
hopefully we can, you know, make it better this year.
oh, I
guess.
think you definitely
know,
will, man.
What can you do?
Because like I said, I mean, man, wild birds really do make a dog. Like I watched one thing I saw besides Boog just going all of a sudden steady to wing and shot after those quail. Another thing I noticed with him is if I shut my damn mouth and let him do his thing, he was doing really good on running birds.
Yeah.
Like he was relocating them.
Yeah.
I thought he was creeping, right?
It feels like, you know, like that is so much fun to hunt your dog and never say a word. Like I've been working on
I
that,
struggle with that.
and it's tough to do that
Yeah.
because you feel like you have to run them like they're like you're running a controller.
Well, and you're running a 1.5-year-old dog.
Yeah.
You expect them to creep and be like busting birds.
But that's what they're supposed to do, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's what we don't think, right? Because in all the training, it's always like, whoa, you know, and then put him back, like don't,
Yeah.
almost as if you don't want him to. But if you really talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about, like that, they say, I mean, if your dog's good, he knows, okay, that bird is walking.
Yeah.
I need to stay with that.
I don't
but not
smell him
push
anymore.
it to the point where he's
Yeah.
gonna fly. But so that when you come up, like, you know, you're not 80 yards away from that bird. Like, okay, we're still on track.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
and-
so
and
that like,
it's-
there's a lot of teamwork between you and your
Yeah.
Oh man! Like remember out back here that how many times did Boog relocate that grouse? It was like 4 times. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
And I never did kill the stupid thing,
No,
but he
yeah.
relocated it 4 times
yeah, that's
at a
good.
1.5
Well,
old. I'm
even
like, what the frig?
that last day grouse hunt we had where Clyde worked the grouse
Yep.
on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
frig,
was
man.
neat. That was
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, and just such young dogs doing it is
Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah.
And
that-
that's my biggest thing is this year I'm gonna just shut up.
Yeah.
If he busts the bird, well, he busts the bird. I'm not gonna shoot
Yeah.
it. But
And bring it back home to work on what they did
yeah,
wrong.
but I'm just gonna be quiet, and let him do his thing because I got to start trusting him.
Yeah.
Because like that situation there, that grouse was running.
Yeah.
And he was friggin' going and finding it, and then we were flushing it and not getting a shot, and then he'd go find it again, and like it was
What
totally-
satisfaction too, eh? Like with the Clyde thing, we were all like, "Oh, there's got to be a bird here." Like he's acting real birdy, and then
Yeah.
we're walking and walking. We're like, "Well, gee, maybe not. Maybe it's just old scent, you know." And sure enough, we get to the corner of the field there. Like, I mean, we're talking like 100 yards or something, you know. Like,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, there's a bird, you know. Like, man, that's lost satisfaction. to
The
know
nice
that he
thing
was
about
working that
Clyde,
the
you
whole
can keep
time.
up with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because once those grouse are starting to run, then they're on edge. So it's really it is hard to get a shot on them because they're on edge. If you start busting in, but at least Clyde, he moves
Yeah,
like slow.
I like watching him.
I
go.
like that, and
Yeah.
then you can just kind of walk behind him ready. Where Boogie does not work anything slow. He's just like poof gone.
Yeah.
It's even in training. Like, I mean, he kind of anticipates birds being
Yeah.
out there, but
Yeah.
like if we're out, he'll work a spot and he'll be like, he'll lock right up. And he's
Yeah.
like, I smell something,
Yeah,
and then he'll move ahead a few more steps, and it is just so fun to watch.
he sneaks like he
Yeah.
stalks in on it. It's freaking nice. Well, it's nice because you can keep up with him.
Crouching tiger, hidden beard.
Crouching tiger, hidden Clyde.
Yeah. So this season, this training season, I mean, you're kind of getting back essentially to square one with Ember because she missed
Yeah.
so much, but
Yeah, I mean, like the last training, Andrew and I did a training there. I mean, it was a month ago or something
Yeah.
like that. We did pigeons, I guess. It was one night, and I mean, it's like she hadn't lost it. Like with the pigeons, she
Yeah.
knows the drill with the pigeons. Like
Yeah.
she pointed, did nice, you know, on two. We did a couple birds there each, and And I mean, she knew what she was doing. Like, you know, and I'm curious to. I'm gonna try to get some quail or chuckers. Like I say, right now it's hard though, because the people that have them is because they have them because they're hatching.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna give you their breeding stock. So I mean, you know, it's hard to find birds right now that are ready to go. But in a couple months here, they'll have all their eggs, what they want, and then we'll be able to start buying the adults maybe or whatever. But
so once you get through like this, I mean, we're all gonna do it. Go through the basics here, get back and brush up on what they already know, and have a fresh starting point once we've established what they already know.
Yeah.
What are you focusing on as far as new things?
Yeah, like what's your end goal, say, between now and, let's go around the table here. So what's your end goal overall for her?
Well, I think we're all pretty much going to be the same answer probably, but I mean, like, you know, same as last year was, I said, steady to point and flush and shot, you know what I mean? Like that's the end goal that I want. And I mean, we were there with, like I say, the tame birds. But backing is something though that we all talked about and we all want to do. I mean, so that is something I got to do. I made a little funny looking, you know.
Was it as good as your boot drawing?
It was close. The body looks pretty good. The head looks a little bit off here. I told Andrew I was copying a picture of Clyde, and I think he took offense to it.
Oh, really?
Geez, yeah. What did I say? It looked like Donald Duck? Or...
Yeah, something like that. The nose was a little too. The head was way too small for the body, but I mean, it gets the gist across, you know.
Yeah.
But I did do one session with that, and I gotta go back to my books here because I kind of set myself. I didn't quite work out the way I thought it would, you know. And she definitely didn't get the gist of it.
No.
Maybe it's
Did
just
you
not
pop
good.
it up, or how did you approach?
No, I just had it set up, and then I come in from the woods, which she couldn't see it or whatever. And when I come in, or around the corner, I guess is what I did. And then when she saw it, I was like, oh, you know, there it is, right? Like, you know, then I stopped her and I popped the bird. But I got to go back because I think at first you're supposed to do it. Maybe you guys know this. I think you're supposed to do it where they don't smell the bird at first, and then eventually you do smell the bird. Maybe it's the opposite.
Yeah,
maybe you're supposed to smell the bird, then
you want them to associate a point with that dog already on point.
Yeah, so you're not supposed to see it, right? You're just popping birds.
It's like a
and
sight
eventually
point
they're like,
on the
okay,
dog.
well, he's obviously pointing the bird, right? So I did that probably 4 or 5 times, but she still like didn't really seem to, you know, capture the fact that he's there's a bird there. So she kept wanting to go in on it. You know what I mean? Like,
it's funny, and some dogs will just naturally back.
Yeah, they do.
yeah.
Like,
So
just walk right up.
So
when
what
they
about
see.
retrieving? Is that something I know you got kind of?
Yeah, you know, well with Ember, I don't want to push her too hard on that because she doesn't enjoy it, right? Like, well, I say that she loves bumpers, like she
Likes to play fetch.
Yeah, like she'll play fetch, but I mean, as far as like birds, especially, like she really doesn't. Like she wants to go up to the bird, but when she gets there, she doesn't really want it in her mouth. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Kind of low on your list as far
as
other things that are more important right
now. You know.
Well,
like,
you got Jesse for retrieving it.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it like I don't want her to associate with a bad thing, right? Because I'm kind of scared that if I'm always forcing her, you know, you're forcing them, right? They don't want to do it, and you're like fetching, and you know, I'll have to zap her sometimes if she doesn't actually do it when I say fetch, right? So it's a negative. You know, and I don't like training with negatives. You know what I mean?
I mean, you're honestly,
you don't gain anything with negatives.
If she's gonna go find the bird and show you where it is, that's good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I want to take her on duck hunts this year, though. I was telling Andrew I want to do more duck hunting this year. I really didn't do a lot this year. Like
neither one of you guys hunted waterfowl very much, really.
Not goose at all. We did geese twice, I think, or once anyway, and then once was a duck hunt that was geese, but we never even got anything or you got one, I guess, but. But no, I don't think I'm even gonna go with the geese much, just mainly ducks. But I want to do more ponds and stuff. But I think what I might do is if it's an actual setup where I know that they're coming and stuff with decoys out, I might bring both dogs.
Yeah,
and
try it out.
Just if it's something that falls dead, you know, stone dead in sight, I'll send Ember. And
if Ember, well, she's eager to go get it.
Yeah.
There you go, right? Like she's standing there looking like she wants to get it.
And the thing is, you only got so much time. So if you're gonna invest. You know, let's say you hunt 8 hours a week, say, you know. Well, if you put 6 hours on duck hunting, that only gives you 2 for upland. So one dog gets shafted, you know what I mean? So so if I bring them both, it'll kind of
balance.
Yeah, and I hunted Jessie a lot on upland this year, right? So we never said what we had for dogs, but Jessie's an English lab. And so I hunt her as a flusher. She's my duck dog, but I hunt grouse for her a lot. And Ember's a English English setter. So anyway, I really enjoy like I know we talk about the pointing business a lot, and that's really kind of everyone that thinks about upland for the most part is pointing. But I really like hunting with a flusher, or with Jesse anyway. Like I mean, that's the only flusher I've really hunted with, except for a couple other, like the Cocker Spaniel guy I went with there once, and like. But I mean, it's I enjoy it a lot. Like she runs close to me. Like and she'll stop on a whistle. So if I see she's getting a little too far away, I can give her a whistle. She'll stop and let me catch up. I keep her in that 20-yard range, right?
It's nice because she's your flusher. Like you
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
relationship. Like she's your dog, you know.
But she's doing good. Like she really knows the game. Like like she's a duck dog, but man, like she knows. Like I'll be walking on the line fences or even in the woods. Like if I'm in the field and she's in the edge of the woods, and I'll send her in. Like she'll go in and she's getting to where she realizes, well, I'll just run the edge of that woods. But like she'll stop a lot and look, make sure I'm not too far. Like I mean, sometimes she gets carried away. There,
she's got that. Dog. She's got that teamwork.
Yeah, she wants to work with me because she knows. You know what I mean? For the most part, like like with Ember, I mean, she's young and all, and she's a big running dog. So if I let her go, and I mean, most times she's on sight. You know,
and
like
a completely different breed.
I think you need to let Ember roll this fall.
Oh man, she be gone all the time. Like you never see her.
Let her burn.
You know, like 80 yards, she covers in a couple seconds.
Oh yeah, just let her roll. I would.
You know, but
I was talking to.
But the thing is, I like to have that. I like to see my dog. Like I know,
that's
and I know
thing.
that
is. That's why you like hunting with Jesse.
Yeah, because I like seeing him. I like seeing what's going on. Like I don't I don't want to hunt with my GPS. I want to hunt with the dog. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that it's you'll say, well, yeah, but I see what she's doing. So, and then, but I don't know. I like having that dog in range, and maybe that's what's hurting me on that. But
I think it definitely is. I think you need to let her roll.
Yeah,
she's gonna check in on you, man.
She will.
I have a feeling once Ember gets to the point where like she is out there 100, 150 yards and logs on point, and you walk in, and see her on point and get a shot opportunity at that bird
and kill a bird. You're gonna be like,
why
damn,
have I waited so long?
Or you're gonna walk in 150 yards. She's gonna relocate, and then you're gonna go shoot that bird. You're like, holy shit.
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, the more ground they cover, the more birds you're gonna find, right? Yeah. But I mean, it's just I don't know, something about it. I guess
Yeah. Well, it's a hard transition. When I got Jace, I was like shitting bricks when he would leave me because I had a lab for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so, it took me a long while.
Fairly new handlers. I mean, you kind of want to control everything you can.
Oh yeah,
we're control crazy, right?
Yeah. It took me a long time to just let Jace run. Yeah. And I mean, he was big running. He did 300 yards.
Yeah.
Like he'd be gone.
So what's your thing for this summer? Like what is?
Well, I mean, we're gonna run NAVDA. I'm gonna run Boog and UPT, the utility preparatory test or whatever. We're gonna run that, and pointing wise, it'll just be obviously we're gonna start off with the basics, make sure he still does it right, and like I said, do some field, fence line, and then woods. And I'm gonna get a lot of kill birds. Yeah, so when we train pointing, every bird's gonna be basically shot at and try to kill it.
That's worked properly.
That he works properly. And I mean, if he busts it, then well.
On that note, something else I find, like at first when we had like chuckers and stuff, where we were kind of like, or I know I was like, well, geez, I bought these things, I don't want to waste them. So a lot of times you're shooting a bird you shouldn't be shooting at. You know what I mean? Like you should just let them fly away.
Yeah.
It's a learning process for us.
I definitely did that with Gross this year. I said, if he does not work this bird right, I am not shooting, and I stuck to it. Like I only shot birds he worked properly. If I could see, like I'll tell you, boys, having that wind checker, that was one of the greatest things I ever bought, because you're like, did he bust it or was the wind wrong? Because I mean, they're not running downwind every single time. No. Like they're going to be running sometimes with the wind, and they're just going to bust birds. It's the way it happens. But so long as they're steady to the flush, then I'll shoot. And that was one thing that was big for me, was some of the birds he busted I shot at because I knew he wasn't working the wind. So I'd be hitting a cover and I'd be like, check the wind. It's like, okay, wind's this way. If he's going any other way, then I'll know, okay, he busted it, or whether it was just a what do you call it, an honest bust, I guess.
Yeah.
Like he busted it honestly. He couldn't smell it.
Yeah.
He ran up on it, and it worked. So
that happens a lot.
And then we're going to work a lot on retrieving this year. I want to get him like 3-handed casting and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you guys do a lot of waterfowl leisure.
I hunt
mean,
waterfowl
It's
a
all
lot, yeah.
goose hunting, so like
Yeah.
you know. So,
We hunt ducks and geese weekly. So.
yeah, so it's pretty important for you, really.
Yeah, and we're going to be guiding this fall. I mean, I've got 2 guys booked so far, but
Oh, nice.
hopefully we'll get
For
some
upland.
For upland,
Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully we'll get some more people for that, and it'll be fun.
Yep.
That's kind of my goals. And then for Chester, obviously he's just a puppy. My goal with him will just to be get him a shit ton of exposure on birds and just let him
Smell
build
the
a
woods and
let him build a love and a desire for the woods and birds and all that fun stuff.
pick up on the other dog's energy.
Yep. What about you?
I'm gonna go back to basics here as well. I find last year with Clyde, when a bird busted, and this was, I mean, he was out for about 6 weeks too
Yeah.
with an injury. So
Just before you go into that, tell everyone what happened to Clyde.
it was like literally the first day of woodcock.
Did it happen the day out back here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was pretty warm too. It was probably pushing like
It
15
was
to 20
hot.
degrees.
Yeah, it was real
So
hot.
there was still a lot of cover on, and I could see Clyde was about 60 yards away from me on my watch, like through the GPS. I couldn't see him, but he let a howl out of him that sounded like he was just
Yeah, big hell.
like, we were both worried, like it was
Oh.
that bad of a.
We were running like moose through the woods,
Yeah.
straight.
And when I got up to him, I could see he was within 10 feet of me, but the cover was still so thick I couldn't see him. So I said his name, and he turned his head. And he's only one at that time, so for
Yeah.
him to stand still like that is pretty uncommon. Like,
Yeah.
especially, obviously, it wasn't a point after that yelp he let out. So, I mean, once we found him, we checked him all out. We couldn't find anything wrong with him. He seemed a little bit stunned,
Yeah.
I guess, but anyway, so when we left the hunt, he finished out the hunt.
Oh, he hunted hard after.
And he still pointed grouse
Yeah.
after this. But I took him up to the vet because he wasn't himself. They didn't find anything. I never found anything. You didn't find
Nope.
anything. We all checked him out. It was almost 4 weeks later we found, what was it, like about...
It was a big growth on his neck.
Yeah. Well,
It's how
But
you found it.
Yeah.
like
yeah.
the size of a baseball
Yeah.
when it got to its biggest. But anyways, it turned out being a stick that somehow got into his neck.
Like the size of your freaking thumb.
Yeah. So he.
And I mean, you don't think, I guess, when you're feeling a dog down, you're just checking them, but you're not like really checking their neck.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think
and,
of that?
And you wouldn't expect it because he's a griff, so he's not out running like an English setter or even a
Yeah.
draught. Like he's not that speed when he's hunting.
Yeah.
He's slow, so it makes you wonder like how it just
He hit that just right.
Just is
Just
what
a
it
freak
is.
thing, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, we were out of the season there for about 4 or 5 weeks with him, which sucked. 'cause
Had a
it was-
big issue with like infection and oozing and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It took a long while for that to heal.
Yeah.
And that actually set him back a lot too.
Mhm.
Did,
Like
yeah.
like he was when you went into the season last fall, like you had done a lot of work.
Clyde was he was good.
Oh man, he was like
Yeah.
a seasoned dog. Like
Yeah.
you were like, holy, like you can't get better than this. Like he worked
Yeah.
grouse wicked. Like
For his age
oh, he was
especially.
amazing, right? And I mean, not that he wasn't good when he got back, but you know, like his basic obedience even had set back
Yeah.
a fair
Mhm.
amount. You know, like just with the callback and stuff like that, right? Just
Yeah, well,
just
that
because
really,
of that.
it really shows like when you take 4 or 5 weeks off of any consistency whatsoever, if it's obedience, if it's hunting training, if it's hunting at all, like that's a big loss.
Oh yeah, big
Huge.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't get over, but like you know the difference. Like,
Yeah.
and it took you probably a month, and then he was back in again. Like
Well, I find towards like the last 3 or 4 weeks, he was
Yeah.
pretty consistent
Yeah.
again. But there's definitely stuff I want to polish up on, like steadiness to the flush. Sometimes he would be, sometimes he wouldn't be. His retrieving, I was happy with. I think that was pretty good.
yeah,
Yeah.
So we have started working a little bit on just barely like the foundations of 3-hand casting. So I'm not gonna train him to be like a full-time goose and duck hunter out in the field that I run him on long blinds or anything like that. But I want to have that so I can work with him when something like that comes up. It's just another tool in your toolbox to have to go to when you need to.
Do you have any NAVDA tests this year? Or?
Yeah, so I'm planning on doing the UT test, which is utility test.
Yeah.
We did the UPT that you're going to
Yeah.
do this year. We did it last year. So we'll see how that goes. And
What about Chester and the puppy test? When does that occur?
that'll be the same weekend.
No, but when would I run Chester? This year, next year? Like how old?
I'd
is
run
it?
them this year.
This year, yeah.
So they just have to be under 18 months old.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Because when we ran Clyde in that, he was only 7 months old.
Yeah, because when's Clyde born?
February.
February, yeah, and Chester's January 17th. So he'll be young.
Yeah.
If it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter.
Right. And it doesn't matter what you get for a score. I mean, you're always working towards.
We're just doing it for fun anyway.
I like the test because every test you go to kind of seems to progress towards where I want to be training-wise.
Yeah.
And not necessarily everything within the test.
How extensive is the retrieving in the UT?
In the UT?
Or the utility test you're doing?
UPT?
What is it called?
The one I'm doing?
Yeah, you.
So he'll have to retrieve like birds that he's found, been steady to wing and shot,
okay,
whatnot. I don't think he has to be steady to shot. Actually, I'll have to double check.
But is there any retrieving, like
Yeah.
blind retrieves and
No.
stuff? Really?
No.
Holy cow!
So he'll have to track a duck that's a dead duck on land. I think it's like 100-yard track or 75. I can't remember, but
Like a duck drag?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then there's a huge pond that they've got to cover as far as like looking for a duck that went down.
Just duck search or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had to in the DRAT system, HZP with similar age, year and a half old dogs. We got to run a friggin' blind retrieve in the water. Like it's.
So is it a blind retrieve or is it just a search?
No, it's a blind. You got to do a blind retrieve and a search, a live duck search. So they'll do a blind retrieve. The guy goes out in a kayak and he'll put a duck out there. It's sometimes on the other shore, on the other side, on the bank or whatever. And you got to do a blind retrieve, and then you got to do a duck search. They'll take like a wing clip duck with a kayak and just set it in the middle of the pond and let it go. And you got to bring your dog in and just get him to search.
Yeah, that's what the NAVDA one is too.
Yeah.
Except that what the judges will do is they want to see the dog search. It's not necessarily about finding the duck. It's about how well they search.
Yeah. And that's a hard one to train because,
it is.
man, you don't have access to live ducks, really.
And your dog, I think it's about confidence, right? Your dog is, I mean, for your dog to go out there and keep swimming in circles, or, not in circles, but you get what I'm saying, like to swim for 5-10 minutes looking for something and not come back to shore.
Yeah.
That's asking a lot, really.
It is. They cross, they can run the banks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for the UPT test that you're going to do, it's a dead duck.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, for that to build their search up with these versatile dogs, the key is to just have lots of birds out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it so they can
you don't
just
want to train them with just one.
Say we'll go to a body of water. I'll put like 6 ducks out in like a U shape, and just
make sure he finds one.
Hunt him up
and
let him go, and he'll just search and search and search until he finds one. And it's easier when you got 6 out there, and then over repetition. He knows that when you line him up and say, hunt him up or back or whatever, he's going to go. And he says, okay, I know there's a duck out here. That's what we've trained him to know.
So eventually
when you come to the test, that there's only one bird out there, you send him out on a search and he's going to go because he's used to going out every time finding a bird.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Man, it takes a lot of ducks.
Cut her down to 4 and then 3 and then 2 and 1.
I'm not even going to cut her down. I'll just make sure that every time he goes out, unless he's searching extremely well on his own, I'm going to make sure every time he goes, he finds a friggin' bird. So when I send him out, he'll swim for eternity, until he finds it.
Yeah.
And that's the key. And then when test day comes, he won't know any different. He's just going to go out and search and search and search and find it. But I'd like to do live duck searches. It would be nice. But
yeah, we'll have to find some.
Good luck, man. They're hard to find.
I know.
And when you do find them, it's hard to find someone if they know what you're doing with it. It's hard to find someone to let you have a duck, right?
Oh, we're just gonna raise them.
That's the only way to do it.
Oh yeah, no one knows what you're doing. Like that, you tell anybody that, they'd be like, "Oh goodness."
So I also want to do the backing. I'll get both of my dogs trained for backing.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I don't know if I ever really have a end goal. Obviously year to year, you kind of have things you want to work on.
Yeah.
But the process is a lot of fun. You got to admit that. You do have setbacks, but man, is it fun working with your dogs.
Yeah.
And seeing them progress and.
Yeah. I definitely say you want that finished dog, but if you, like for me for this year, if I can just get her not run the birds over and actually take her time a little bit and slow down and give me some points, that's all I really care about this year, really. I mean,
well, I think you got the same opportunity that I do with Boog. Boog and Ember were basically in the same place last year.
Yeah.
Kind of like both busting birds and whatever. Boog just didn't get injured, right?
Yeah.
So he had the whole season to hunt, which helped a lot. Plus, like I said, those 10 quail, I don't know, that flipped a switch. I think you should try that.
Yeah.
Just a completely different bird.
Well, I would say, I mean, she's had a lot of birds
Something that she
in her
might-
mouth. I mean, there's no question about that, but I probably put 50 birds in her mouth or 100 birds in her mouth.
And I'm
last
wondering
year.
if that's a detriment. Is it a detriment to can you overtrain? Because you make it like, okay, we're going to do this. It makes it.
I think you can. I think
I think so too.
You don't want to make it boring, but
It's
I mean,
well,
yeah.
you gotta read your dog how they're
Yeah.
responding, because that's a mistake I made with Maya, and that's
Yeah.
why she won't
Yeah.
work pigeons now.
Yeah.
Like if you do it every freaking day or every other day. It's
Yeah.
even like retrieving. I mean, they love to retrieve, but I mean, you can burn them out if you do it too much. Like
Yeah.
Matt, for example, he's a professional trainer running tank in the national. And I mean, Matt goes out and trains every day, but it's like 3 or 4 retrieves.
Yeah,
What he
yeah.
does. Like,
I overtrained Jessie
Yeah.
when I got her. I over retrieved her big time.
Yeah.
She got to the point where she didn't even want to. Like she's like, this is so boring. You know,
yeah.
not just that, but just basic obedience too. Like
Yeah.
I would train 45 minutes a day every day
Yeah.
for her first year of her life. Like it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it was too much, you know. And
Yeah.
that's something that I cut back big time with Ember. And I mean, to be honest with you, like, as far as, you know, does one listen better to the other? Not really. Like, she listens just as good, sometimes even better than Jessie does. And I mean, that could be personality too. And I mean, the hours I have in her for basic obedience is way, way, way less than Jessie.
Yep.
I just bored Jessie right out of her mind. Like, it's
Yeah.
something you got to be careful of, I think.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
a risk, because what happens is not only does the dog get bored, but your expectations increase. Like you expect
Yeah.
perfection, and when that happens, like just unconsciously, you might become negative a little more often, or like a little bit
Yeah.
more. You take the fun out of it for the dog.
Yeah.
And for yourself, for
yeah,
that matter, because you're putting yourself on too high of a standard.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Like, and for me, like with Jace, I mean, he had an extremely high drive to retrieve, and so does Boog. Like, as soon as we go outside, he's looking for something for you to fetch. And, like, we will play fetch all the time, throwing toys or sticks or balls or whatever, and just make him come back and heal and that. Like, he can do that for hours. But the formal training where they're doing stuff that's not as fun as just a basic retrieve, yeah, I think less is more.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Oh, yeah,
Matt, I
for
mean, is
sure.
running a dog in the national. I mean, and Tank, I mean, you won't find a dog with a higher drive to retrieve than
Yeah.
him. Like, I think he could retrieve all day, every day.
Yeah.
But even Matt doesn't do that with him. He takes him out with a plan, specific drills and stuff that he wants to do. And it's like literally 4 retrieves, and he's back in the truck. Or he's sitting there watching the other dogs run.
Yeah, which is important
Honoring,
also.
yeah.
Very important.
And I mean, he probably does basic, like just plain fetch in the yard type of deal
Yeah.
to burn energy and have fun. But I think, and that's the same with pointing. I think if you do too much, I think it could
Yeah. For sure.
it takes the fun out of it, and it's like, oh, frig, this kind of sucks.
So
Yeah.
what's some new gear we have this year to
Well-
train with versus last?
New gear for me, my bird launchers will be electronic,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm buying a zinger, one
Yeah.
zinger
So
zinger.
we'll each have two.
You got
zingers,
one, yeah,
Electronics are everything, though, aren't they?
yeah, and you got new electronics too.
Yeah, I bought a Garmin GPS. Yeah.
Did you get the 200?
No, I got the
The
300.
300?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, it is the 300.
It's 300. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got a used there. Just
Nah,
But
used
it's-
new.
yeah, it's used new. Yeah. I mean, I mean, they're pricey. Like it's when I had a sport dog 2 years ago. I bought one when I first got Ember, and I actually ended up selling it because I wasn't really using it. And I said, like I was telling you, so I like watching my dog, and it just kind of dawned on me last fall, when I was running her a bit and stuff. I said, I really, like you said, I gotta give her a little bit of
Let it
running,
roll.
like give her some wings, and because I'm thinking I'm kind of always calling her back to see her, right?
Yeah.
So here she might be getting sent, and here I am saying, "Well, get over here,
Yeah.
instead of letting her figure that scent out.
Yeah.
So I was thinking I might be hurting myself, so that's why I said
Yeah.
I gotta get a GPS. And I saw you guys had the Garmin's, and
Yeah.
the Garmin's are the Sport Dog wasn't bad. I like the Sport Dog, but it seemed like the battery life wasn't.
The Garmin battery life is nuts.
Yeah, it just
It lasts
like
days.
I went for if I'd go for an afternoon, say like for 4 or 5 hours, you'd have to charge it.
Yeah.
You know.
Like that Garmin, you can hunt
Yeah.
all weekend with
Oh,
it.
Yeah.
Easy.
And the worst part of it is like I'd be looking at my handheld and say, oh yeah, well it says battery's still good, you know, so I'm good to go. But it wasn't. And then I'd go turn it on. I'm like, why is this not working? You know, like next hunt, you know, I'm like that's kind of strange. And then I'd plug it in, you know, charge it, and it was fine. It just was dead. And I'm like, well, that's stupid.
You
know,
won't regret buying that. That's for
No.
sure. Once you use it a season,
yeah.
like getting a good deal on it will be irrelevant. You guarantee will be like,
Yeah.
I 100% would have paid for
And
the price of
especially
this.
paired up with the friggin' Garmin.
Yeah,
watch,
I
man.
don't have that.
Fine, get one on. You can buy them used for like half the price of a new
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Just get a Garmin Instinct. Oh man, not having to dig that handheld out and just being able to look at your watch
Yeah,
is
yeah.
so nice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or like if you're going in on the bird, you're just like,
Yeah. Well, see, I was telling Andrew on the way here. Actually, we were talking about it, and I said, you know, I probably will buy one maybe later here. Like
yeah.
you know, it's hard because we all have a lot of hobbies. You
man.
know what I mean? It's not just bird dogs. Like
Well,
I
it's just
do
it's
a lot of
of money,
fishing, and I
like-
do a lot of everything else. So and I started doing a taxidermy thing a bit. So I've been sinking a lot of money into other stuff. You know, and it's kind of like so. You're trying to stretch this out.
man,
much
you add
can.
it up, it's thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah,
bro.
and I'm like,
Thousands.
well, so do I want to watch this year or next year? You know, like I'd like to have it, but I don't know if I want to drop $400 on it. You know, like I said that.
Well,
you know,
and you always want to be selective too, because I mean,
yeah,
you're passionate about your hobbies,
Mm-hmm.
and like with this particular hobby, we have live animals who are we're responsible for.
yeah,
We put a lot of time, a lot of money into, and we want
Yeah.
to make sure they're as safe as possible.
yeah.
It's just hard to dump that much money all at once.
It
I don't
is.
want
Yeah.
it. Like I've got to get another GPS collar for Chester, and I want to get a new dog to like 2500 TMB 2 dog
yeah.
for training. I'd prefer to have a training collar or just for Lori to use it running out back. It's just simple.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I want to get that, and then I want to
Talk
get
about crates.
I want to get dog kennels and Zinger's $1,000, man.
Yeah. With electronics,
friggin'
it's
crazy.
ridiculous.
Like it just
So the crates there's some pretty good options out there.
yeah. I mean, you got Gunner. I mean, they're probably obviously the best, but I mean, it's $750 a kennel
Yeah.
with
the-
no options, no straps, no covers, no nothing.
I would say they all hold your dog, so
Yeah.
you know some are safer than others, I guess. But
The biggest one I'm gonna go with the Roughland,
yeah,
and the biggest reason is the 2 Roughland intermediate kennels will fit in the back of the truck back to back.
right. How heavy are they?
20 pounds, I think.
So they're not like the gunners. Are
No,
heavy,
see,
aren't
the
they?
Gunners are double walled but really thick. So
Yeah.
so the Gunner interior dimensions are the same length. Say, I don't remember what it exactly is. Say the interior dimension on the intermediate is 27 inches. The exterior on the Gunner is 34,
Right.
where on the Roughland it's only 30.
Okay. Yeah.
So they're a lot thicker walled.
Yeah. Which
and-
makes them safer, but it just yeah.
It does, but like I
Ridiculous.
said, mine are gonna both be in the truck, in the back seat, wedged between the doors, wedged between the seats.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't get any safer than that. And for me personally, I want my dogs inside the truck. I want them locked in the truck, air conditioning, whatever, and safe from people that are friggin' stealing dogs nowadays. I don't
Oh,
want
yeah.
my dog sitting
Yeah.
in a kennel in the back of the truck.
When we hunt together, and like a lot of times we'll just alternate dogs. Right?
Yeah.
That's something that I worry about a lot.
Man, I
we
worry about your guys' dogs.
We just, off we go, and I mean, it's like dogs in there. I'm like, holy jeez, like what if someone shows up
And
while
that's
we're gone,
happening a
and
lot.
And like I mean, truck's locked, but I mean they could break a window and
Oh,
take the
yeah.
dog, right?
Pop
Like,
a window and your dog's gone.
yeah, like our dogs aren't aggressive dogs.
That's
so
one
it's-
thing about it, right? Like Boog, I had the cheap plastic kennel in the back seat, but I mean tinted windows. You can't even physically put your hands on the glass and see him in the kennel. You can't
Yeah.
see him. So that's another safety factor right there. Like they're in a kennel in the back seat, tinted windows. Like you cannot tell if there's even a dog in there.
Yeah.
Whereas Clyde or Maya or Ember, they're standing right there in the front seat.
Oh,
like,
stuck out the window.
what's going on? yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
and I have a kennel fan, so I'll have 2 of those kennel fans attached to the door, turned on, keep them nice and cool. Or
I'd like to have a gunner for sure, but the other thing I think of sometimes too is that a lot of places we hunt, like it's pretty uncommon that we travel more than an hour to go hunt. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a lot of people who have those crates, you might have to travel 3 hours from home just to go somewhere to hunt birds.
Yeah.
And like that's a factor as well.
But I just find that they all put them strapped in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just not going to do that. I didn't no way in frig. Well, and I mean, I can't leave it. We can't leave a dog if we're hunting December. We can't leave a dog in the box of the truck in a kennel.
Well,
Friggin' freeze to death.
and I mean, like, our dogs. I mean, a lot of these guys, like they're professionals. Their dogs are their tools, you know. But like our dogs are our family.
Oh, my
they're
dog.
like our kids, you
Like-
know. So
Okay,
to put my
so
kid in the
my-
back of the
my
truck,
kid's right
I don't
here.
think so.
My dog's right here.
Yeah.
It's not a big difference.
Yeah,
Like-
it's you know, we'll leave the house and I'll be like, I'll say, Ben, I'll say, Amber's in charge there. So
Yeah.
she's older than you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Smarter than you.
So it's kind
no,
of
it's a genuine concern for me, and I'm just not willing to put my dog in a kennel in
Yeah.
the back of the truck and take off, hit the woods with the other dog, and leave him there and hope that he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Frig that.
yeah.
But waterfowl hunters don't really have to worry about that too much. The truck's usually parked within sight of where you're hunting. I mean, frig, we could be going who knows where, and just, I don't know, maybe I'll get one of those cell cameras and leave it on the truck.
Yeah, you could.
And you know what? That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's actually pretty smart. Yeah, as long as no one sees it,
Yeah.
and takes your camera on you. But
You get a picture of them, man.
yeah,
That's the thing. It's a cell camera. As soon as it takes a picture, it sends it to your phone. You got to have cell phone service, but just wherever you're parked, put your cell
I've seen
camera up.
deer hunters before put like where they park their truck and walk into their spot, they'll put a GoPro on the dash looking out.
Mm-hmm. The only thing about that, you're not going to see the footage if they break into your truck and
Right.
steal it and your dog.
yeah,
Where the cell camera, you're going to get a picture of them whether they steal it or not. If I get a picture of somebody walking around my truck, I am freaking running to the truck with my gun loaded and ready to fire. Like messing around my truck with my dog in it. Like,
Yeah.
if you see a dark navy blue Dodge with a big Benelli sticker on the back and you're thinking about stealing my dog, be warned, if you get caught, you will probably die there. Not even joking. I will probably shoot you.
Yep.
might have to cut that out of the.
I'm not cutting nothing. That's a fair warning.
You got the cops at your door.
Like I said, kids right here, dogs right here. You friggin' mess with my dog, you're gonna be in trouble.
yeah,
I'd probably black out and do something stupid and end up in prison for the rest of my life. But that's why I want to go with the other kennel, and it's literally 50% cheaper.
yeah.
You know, that's a big difference, huge difference. I mean, and they're a decent kennel. They're not bad. Better
No.
than the plastic
Oh, geez. Yeah. No, they're good.
PetSmart kennel I got right now.
I bought one of those PetSmarts, but I just sold it actually. But it was so big, I like to get it in the back of my CRV. I couldn't put it lengthwise. I had to they just basically put a dog in it, and then turn it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not practical at all. So it was okay in the back of the truck at first. Like when I first got it, I used them. I put Ember in there, and she hated it. Right, like she's like, I don't want to ride in the truck with you, like you know. And so it just didn't work. I had ratchet strapped down, but like we said, you know, that's fine in the first of October. But
Yeah.
you get November, December, like man, like they're working hard. They're running. They're getting
Yeah.
wet, and then you go stick them in the back of the truck in that cold wind and
Yeah,
stuff.
for
Like
2
yeah.
hours to go run another
Yeah,
dog or two.
you might give them pneumonia, right? Like
Yeah. Oh,
So-
they could get hypothermia and die.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So what's some more on the whole upland guiding? I know you haven't put a whole lot out yet, like as far as advertising. But
what's more on it? What'd you say?
like, what's some more information
Oh.
on it, I guess. Like
Yeah,
it's new this year.
It's new this year because I mean, obviously we lost Jay suddenly, and I lost my dog. Now Boog is good enough. I didn't know he's going to be ready this year,
Yep.
and I mean, I would have taken clients that had their own dog rather than guiding people that don't have a dog. So I only have 2 books so far, but I haven't really put a big push on guiding upland. But I want to start, man. If I can book October, November.
So
I'd
like
book
our,
her.
our rough grouse numbers were a little lower last year because
Yeah.
the spring was so wet. But like we're on the border of Maine, so
Yeah.
that's a lot of people go to Maine. Don't
Yeah,
they?
they go to the North Woods of Maine. Yeah, and I mean that's
Yeah.
what we've got here.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
the same freaking
Yeah.
thing. Big woods, clear. Well, and we also have the fun farmland area.
Yeah, we got everything really. Like you can go drive half an hour and be right in the woods, or you can be right in our area by all the farmland, right? So
Yeah.
you can do both really.
Well, right where your hunting camps are, I mean,
A lot of farmland
literally,
there, but
literally in the backyard.
Yeah.
Once you get the 200 meters away from the camp, you
Yep.
that's how close you are to good hunting.
Birds are right there. Yeah. Both sides. So yeah, that's my plan with kennels anyway.
Yeah, you know what? It'd be kind of neat to reach out. To
Are you
somebody.
decided yet? Or are you still? Oh, not to mention there's a NAVDA discount on Roughland.
Yeah.
So are you still undecided? You almost sound like you're still thinking about a gunner.
Well, what I think I'm gonna do to start is get one from Roughland, so it'll fit in the back of the truck,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll get another one later this year, maybe.
Roughland or
Well, I
another
don't
gunner?
know. I guess I don't need to decide today, but
No.
I mean, it'd be kind of nice if we all represented the same one,
True.
work together with them somehow. I mean,
And we all got the same truck.
Yeah,
yeah,
You
true.
can fit 2 Roughlands in the back.
yeah,
The intermediate, which is plenty
Yeah.
big.
yeah.
I mean,
And I mean, it does kind of show, like, I mean, takes you to that next level of commitment to the safety of your dogs. Too.
Yeah.
It's easy to drive around with them in the back of the truck, and
well, and
Now, can you put the fans in the Roughland or?
well, I just bought that Amazon fan just hanging on the door.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It
okay.
works perfectly. They're $50, I think. Did you get one too?
yeah, 40 something.
40,
Yeah.
$50
That's
hanging
pretty
on the
cheap.
door. It's 20,000 milliamp. Has a light.
Yeah, battery operated.
Yeah, you can charge
Yeah.
your cell phone. No, it's a rechargeable 20,000 milliamp battery.
Oh, really?
pack.
With the USB.
USB ports, everything. It's
Oh, that's
friggin'
nice.
wicked fan.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
power went out here once a few weeks ago, and I took that up and left it on all night. That
Yeah.
fan. Left
It
on
lasts a
all
long
night
time.
on the highest setting,
Really?
and it was still at like 50%. The next
Holy
morning.
snap! That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know if I have mine right here. I'll show it to you after.
Yeah. Well, I've seen it. I guess I just
The orange
never-
one there.
Yeah, I should probably get one there for fall. Maybe it would be nice.
Especially when it's hot. I just leave it
Yeah.
on low. I don't want to blast the dog.
Yeah.
Leave it on low.
Yeah.
And then just circulate some air through
Yeah.
them.
Well, especially if they're gonna be in the kennel. I mean,
Yeah.
with the
Well, like I said, I mean, I can't fit 2 gunners in the back seat.
Yeah.
And I don't have a desire to put my kennel in the box. I just,
it's a big disadvantage. A big
Yeah.
disadvantage to that one.
because if you're going to put it in the box, well, then you got to get the cover. You got to
Yeah.
get the straps. You got to get
Locks.
locks, all
Yeah.
that crap. So, like Matt has 2 intermediate gunners. He got the nameplates, the covers, the tie downs, and the pads. $3,000, man, is what he was in
Oh.
for 2 kennels. $3,000, like that's crazy. Like I can get into 2 Roughlands for $1,000 if
Yeah.
you want to get nameplates, and I don't need the tie downs because it's going to be wedged right in the truck.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'll
Big
need- I'll
difference.
So we'll all have the strap vest this year too, because I just got a final ride.
oh yeah, you got to finalize
Yeah.
yeah.
So what are you guys' plans for? Like this year we, I guess we got a lot of video recording stuff this year.
Yeah,
we
we
all
should-
got big cameras and
Yeah, we all
We
all
all-
kind of went ape shit on the video camera.
yeah,
stuff.
we're really enjoying a lot of that though, and doing
Yeah.
editing and that aspect of it, I guess. And we all got the hindsight now on our GoPros, and so in that way we're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Couple drones.
Yeah, we got drones.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for us this year is we're definitely going to record for Chasing the King on YouTube. We're definitely going to record at least minimum 3 hunts that are filmed with a cameraman plus GoPro. So there'll be
Yeah.
2 hunters. I got wireless mics, so we'll mic up the 2 hunters. We'll have a cameraman and the GoPros on each hunter. So,
Well, in reality, if we are together hunting, we should do
Yeah.
it every time.
we should, but sometimes you don't always get
Yeah.
birds right, or it doesn't
Yeah.
work out. Like,
Because I mean,
I mean, not
that's
everyone.
the hard part is getting, like, people don't realize a rough grouse it's not a pheasant hunt. You're out in the field here, like
Yeah.
to get done recording like on video. It's hard.
It's the
like,
thickest woods there is.
That's the only reason why GoPros are everything you look at is GoPro, because that's the only way to. It's recording all the time. It's on your head, But the trouble with GoPro, you don't have that close up. But
Yeah.
but even with a big camera, there's no way you're gonna have time to zoom in on that bird unless you see it sitting there.
No, it's
No.
going to be an
So-
overall. It'll be a stand back at the hunter,
Oh, yeah.
and the dog.
But that
I mean, you might on a fence line. or
Try
something,
to.
possibly.
yeah,
I mean,
but it's hard. Like I was out the other day and I had I had my camera out and and a grouse took off and I'm trying to follow it. Like
oh yeah, you're
Oh,
never
man,
gonna
like-
you're never gonna get a tight shot on a
no,
grouse
you
flying.
can't get
like,
nothing. Like it's not a good footage. Like
No.
it's
So we still have a grouse camp video to come out,
Yeah.
right? From
Yeah.
last year.
yeah, I've
yeah.
got part 2 of my I can't hit shit, where I finally figured out why I couldn't hit shit, which is crazy.
And we're gonna do grouse camp this year.
Yeah, we're gonna do a big grouse camp this year. We're gonna have a lot of people. Just
We're hoping to do pheasant camp. That was something we were
Yeah.
going to do, and now with the new laws, we got to find out.
well,
either find
I can find out who owns all the land, and we're just gonna have to call them, or
Yeah.
whoever's the best talker. I don't know if maybe Mark would want to do it if he's a good
Well, that
He's he's the best businessman.
You know, we know what we should do is maybe not everybody show up together, but we should go down to where we're going and take a day and stop and talk to a few farmers. And
there's probably going to be multiple landowners in there.
It's just hard because to get them to actually take the time to give us written permission with the PID numbers,
we got
to go prepared.
You don't actually have to have like handwritten permission. You can get a text or whatever from.
Is that right?
Yeah. That's all.
Because I heard you needed PID numbers and you needed like a form you had to fill out. And I was like, holy snap! Like,
no,
who's gonna do that?
No one's gonna do that, Dave. Because you imagine farmers in the middle of harvest having 15 guys a day coming up. Hey, can you sign? Like they're gonna lose their shit.
Well, that's what I mean.
They'll be calling DNR and be like, "We don't want this rule. Like this is
what's going to happen is they're just going to say no. I'm not letting anybody hunt, and then we're all going to get screwed over." So, that's what I'm afraid of. Like,
that's a big concern. But no, that's
which I don't blame.
Mike Holland himself has told us that that's not going to be it. If you have a text or whatever, you can get your permission for the year type of deal. Like, hey, yes, you can hunt my land.
Well, that would work because I mean everybody's got a cell phone, so
So we'll have a grouse camp, hopefully pheasant camp.
Oh, pheasant camp time for happening. I don't know if you guys are going or not, but I am.
Well, I was wondering, is there crown ground?
There is.
We got to find that. We got to find it.
But maybe if we get there first,
we talked a little bit about woodcock, but you'll be in harvest.
Oh, I'll be unless it's the first opening. Because see, we usually start harvest around the 18th, more or less.
Of September.
Yeah. So like this year, actually, this is the first year where I could actually go woodcock hunting, and we did 3 days in a row. Like it was right during the week, but I went the first 15th, 16th, 17th I went, and then I started harvest the 18th.
Yeah.
And by the time I get done harvest, the woodcock are pretty much, there's a few stragglers, but they're more or less migrating.
That was really good this year. Like we're getting into that more so than ever.
It's so funny.
That was fun. I loved that.
I never went after them much this year. I think I only moved like 30 something woodcock because I just never went after them.
So you can't do a woodcock camp. You said for some reason what you do bear hunters this September or something?
No, I just don't. I mean, if someone wants to come up in September, woodcock hunt, but it's
Dusty talked about doing it.
Just hard, right? Like
Dusty said he would be the host or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
he's got a nice big tent. He bought there, and I don't know if he's got a stove for it or not. But I mean, that would be a kind of a cool, September thing, right? You can camp in a tent like September. Do like a big everyone get there, get a cot or whatever, and.
Another thing I would like to do, and I never did last year because I was just really focused on getting Boog dialed in. If he's doing good this year, I really do want to go get a spruce grouse.
Yeah, I know.
Like I want to actually pursue them now that I know that if he's doing as good as he did last year, and he's steady and shit. I really want to try to pursue one. And try to never got one because they're dumb. I mean, if you don't have a steady dog, friggin' the damn thing you probably catch it.
Make sure you don't run over it with a truck.
Yeah,
and then swerve out around it, and then stop. Put everything on your dog because a bird's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Take the dog, figure out what way the wind's blowing, so you go downwind to the bird.
Yeah.
So the bird still probably hasn't moved.
Yeah. Stand there.
And then you walk up, let the dog point it, and come and find out there's going to be about 5 spruce grouse there.
Yeah.
It's a wonder they're not everywhere.
I know.
I'm also really gonna expand territory and go hit some of my old covers. Like I've got covers from friggin' Naquik to Millville, like all over that I haven't hunted in a long time, and I'm gonna go just.
I've got covers from
Juniper, all that.
Sackville, New Brunswick to Edmundston.
Yep. Same here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go all over the place and just finding new covers and.
Well, if you're gonna hunt every day, it's you almost have to, right? Like, there's it's pretty, you could drive down the road and say. That looks birdie right there, and you're gonna run into birds. I mean,
you can tell.
Like it's not I mean, generally speaking, I guess. Now this year, did you guys notice that we were hitting birds in the like higher ground, drier ground?
Yo, definitely, yeah.
Like, like places where I had hunted them we had a wet spring, so
I think that's because the only birds that survived were on the high ground.
Yeah, and that's why, right? Because so people may not know, but we had a wet spring, and so our hatch was horrible, and that's why we had low numbers this year. But and the birds we were finding, like we were in the higher ground, like up on the mountains,
100%,
stuff like that. Yeah, not in the swamps at all.
Yeah, the low ground birds did not do well.
No,
but it was definitely high country was the key. Higher clear cuts or heavy grade like slope or whatever. So it didn't hold water anywhere that pooled water. Man, she was
Oh
not
yeah,
good.
terrible.
Like there was covers that had nothing in them. That
I
used to
really,
be full.
I really hope we have a good year, a good spring, because we need it this to bring our numbers back
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Yeah.
Well, anything else we need to cover? Or anyone
Well, we
else?
should talk about Rough Grouse Society we were
Oh,
at
yeah,
yesterday.
we
That was kind of cool.
we went to the RGS dinner. That's only the second one I've been to. Like
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we started going when we started chasing the king, I guess. So, and but the last year was a lot of fun, so we decided to do it again this year. We had 10 people at our table this year, so
yeah,
we might have to get 2 tables next year. And
they're gonna have to start getting a square table for us and fit a whole whack of people.
yeah, but that was a lot of fun though. I mean, I enjoyed that, and it's a good cause. It's something that we believe in. So I mean, it's nice to. Now I don't know, were you there when Wesley was saying we should donate something next year? And I was thinking that's a good idea. You know, like I was thinking, like I mean, we could donate more than one thing, but I do a little bit of woodworking for fun, like just kind of like a little hobby thing. And I was thinking I could make like a dog bowl, like you know, like the two, like you put two bowls in it,
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
like
the
I have for
holder,
my
yeah.
dog there.
Actually, what you should do is do up some artwork, like a print of that.
Upside down
rubber
boot.
boot.
What was
Yeah.
that upside down rubber boot you drew? What was that even supposed to be? I forget now.
So what happened was I had 2 wood ducks and I wanted to get them mounted. So for the taxidermist, and I mean I like my defense, I drew this in like 2 minutes, right? So I was drawing like I had
You sure it took that long?
yeah. So I had a stick. Well, it was a stick. It was a log thing I was gonna put it on, and it kind of went like this. The log did, you know, and so but I said, well, I want it. So I drew it the opposite way, which made it look like a boot, you see. And I said, so I want one bird here, one bird here. So my birds were like this. They were stick figure birds. I forget how I did it, but it was it was a stick figure bird, and it looked like an upside down boot.
It
And
was
I said,
one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
yeah, so Andrew was saying, well, did you tell him what you wanted? And I said, well, yeah, I sent a picture with it. So I showed him the picture that I sent with it. He's like, well, how is he going to know what you want? He said, and as fate would have it, actually, he ended up putting it not the way I asked for it.
That's shocker. I can't believe that, Andrew. Can you believe that?
I'm surprised he didn't mount it on an old boot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it worked out better, I think, the way what he
Yeah,
did.
it
You know,
looks good.
so
Looks way better compared to how you drew it.
yeah, yeah. So this is PI taxidermy, by the way, that we used, and
Yeah.
they did a real good job. I've gotten 5, 6 ducks. No, hang on. I've got the 3 on the dead mount. Then I got the one flying, and then I got the 2 wood ducks. So I've gotten 6 done from now the ducks here, and they did a great job on the ducks. I haven't right now. I've got a woodcock and a rough grouse on a dead mount together, and then I have a flying pheasant. I got to go pick it up here. It's ready, but so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that, I guess.
It's just nice to go to that rough grouse dinner too and talk to a bunch of
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
like-minded people.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
Yeah,
I
I-
always
sure.
like going to that stuff.
I don't think not everybody has dogs though. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's
Really? Man, I don't know too many people that are hardcore grouse hunters that don't have dogs.
I got the impression because like a lot of the dog stuff, dog training stuff, like that tip up. You know, not many people put tickets in on that. Like to you know.
I think there's a lot of local businesses that
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of local
lot.
business
Kinda,
tables there.
I mean, obviously everybody grouse hunts that are there, like you know. But I'd be curious to know how many actually you know run the dogs and stuff or their own dog. I
well,
should say.
even
I
like
guess.
look at Donald and Robert and
Yeah.
they sat with us last year, but I mean
Yeah.
it's nice to touch base with them. They're in the English pointer
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
but I mean like it's nice to
Oh, it's nice to have connections, 100%.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody's helpful, right? Everybody, I find that, you know, like when you share a passion or share something, you know, like, you know, people are open to helping each other. Well, you know, I had that issue or whatever. How do you go about this one? They'll tell you, you know, they're not going to tell you their hunting hole, but I mean, like, you know, they're not, you know, they're not trying to be better than you, so to
Right,
speak. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, they're not going to give you false information because they want to be better. Like, you know, everyone seems to want to help each other, same as we'll give our opinions if someone asks for it, like, you know, and we'll help them best we can, you know, so it's nice that way for sure.
I like the camaraderie of it all. That's why I like
Yeah.
waterfowl hunting so much, because you're just all together and shooting the shit and having
Yeah.
fun. And that's why I want to turn grouse camp into a bigger event,
Yeah.
more people and stuff, and just separate into 3 filming groups.
Yeah.
Like you have a group, I'll have a group, and Dave will have a
Yeah.
group. And
Well, I was
go
gonna
out.
say you can't if we're gonna have too many more, it's hard to.
Oh yeah, well we're gonna have to separate and hit different
Yeah,
covers. Like
yeah.
we're gonna have to say, okay, we're all jumping in trucks and going to this area to hunt. We're jumping in trucks and going to this area to hunt. And
Yeah.
we're jumping, and we'll all film it, right?
Yeah,
From our
and
own
we could meet
perspective.
halfway and switch up the groups a bit.
Yeah.
And stuff,
Well,
you know.
we'll all be back at camp
Yeah.
shit in the evening anyway. It gets
Yeah.
dark early. Have a campfire. I think I'll get a big brisket, get it smoked, and just have a bunch of good food. It's just fun to get it
Oh, it
together
is.
like that.
Yeah, it's a great time.
Shoot the shit and tell stories. I love it, man. That's why I want to get more people here doing it, right? Like just friends of ours, people that we know, right? And then maybe someday we can, like next year, we could travel down to their areas and hunt some of their
it's fun,
covers.
and it's not at all the competition. Like it's better to get with people. Like I really enjoy seeing other people's dogs work.
Yeah,
really enjoy.
Yeah,
even
that's a big
and then
thing.
I mean, boys, getting to hunt with somebody like Robert who's got freaking champion dogs. Like,
Yeah.
do you know how much people pay to hunt with that guy?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
We were
it's
that was
cool.
2 years ago. We didn't do it last year, but 2 years
No,
ago
I
when
know.
we
I
did,
don't
that
know
was
why.
wicked. I wish we'd have done that last year.
Well,
actually.
last year I don't know. I think between the two major injuries in the dogs, I think everybody's mood was just kind of off. We didn't hunt it together as much as normal.
No,
and I mean,
well,
there was a lot of focused on training. Like, I mean, for me and Boog, for the October, I was like, I hardly even recorded in October because I was just dedicated to making sure I got him to where he want. Then November rolled around and things were. I was like, okay, he's doing good, and we got together more then. Plus, you got harvest.
Yeah, for me it's kind of hard because I'd say 70% of my hunting's in December.
Yeah.
Just because of the way my work falls, right?
Yeah.
And December is good hunting, but all it would take is a couple big storms and I'd be screwed, right?
One storm like we had here in friggin' end of March there, 20 inches or whatever. Jeez.
Yeah, so that's the unfortunate part, but I guess you gotta pay the bills, right? So
yeah. Oh yeah, that is what it is.
Yeah, that's right.
Make the most of it, but yeah, I think grouse camp will be fun.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be wicked for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's everything I can think of.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Right on. Well, thanks for listening. Later.